Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome to Bringing Freedom to Potential, our holiday edition with our coach, our favorite coach, and world-renowned coach, Randy Swaim. How are you, darling?
Doing good, doing good. Glad to be here as always with you, my friend. And yeah, it's a good time for sure, just with the holiday coming up and just all that. So yeah, just great to be here with you as I always am, and and appreciate it. And
What
and
is
and wishing Merry Christmas to you and all of the PB and folks and all that they have a very blessed time over the next week.
Thank you. You too. And I just got to know, what is Christmas like in Dallas?
Well, it's not snowing, and that's good. I jokingly say, but it's truthful. I moved down here from
Yeah.
Niagara Falls, New York, so it's a little bit different. But it can be a little bit cool, temperature wise and all that. But a lot of the things, if you have family members and all that, guess what? With Christmas, there's nothing different about it. Spending time together, buying presents and making it a valuable time and a memorable time for
Yeah.
you and those people that you truly love and care about.
Well, thank you for being here and being with us and helping so many as you do just by being you. What did you have in mind for us today to talk about before the big holiday break?
Well, what I'm going to do is bring out a sort of another aspect of a central leadership aspect that sometimes many people in our society don't think about or don't fully realize or understand. Um, but it'll involve a little bit about it, but it'll also involve a way that I did something this week with the client and everything with the aviation client and everything. And but if you think about it, it's a key aspect um, in leadership that
Yeah.
many people in our society don't fully realize, and that's so it's just going to bring out a key aspect of that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, we're excited to be here and again to it's a little bit of a time to take a little bit of a break for work, right? I mean,
Yeah.
leadership is something that always it requires training and skill and upkeep. But I hope a lot of our leaders will be home with their families and taking that time to really think about what's important to them and how the new year reflect upon that and how we could be better or better people, better leaders,
Hmm.
better team players, and just better overall. It really gives you the time to reflect, I think.
Yeah, and it makes a difference. This is very aligned a little bit about with what I'm going to be talking about today. But as you know, the Hollywood movie documentary is made available to the public now. There's several platforms where they're still kind of finalizing some of the little detail stuff on it,
Hmm.
not on the movie, but on the platform and everything to get it set up. But I posted on my um, Facebook page the link that takes it to the YouTube where you can purchase the movie from YouTube and everything. And the first person that watched the whole movie texted me this morning. She bought it
Oh,
yesterday and she texted me, and the text was a little bit amazing. She talked about your just story is awesome because it's not about me. It's about the learning process. It's about the growing process and the all that the process that grew you and makes you become and everything. And that's a key aspect of it. It's just not calling attention to yourself. It's gaining insights that people that mean something to other people. And she was some of her comments were just amazing after watching the movie. So I just was humbled because I got that text today, and I'm guessing she's the very first one that watched the whole movie. So it's uh, pretty wild, but it's there. Yeah, it's out there.
yay! Congratulations. And now we need the
Yeah,
big movie
yeah,
premiere, though. Hopefully that's coming up soon.
yeah. And well, the movie is definitely out there, and like I say, it's on YouTube. And if anybody wants to go to my Facebook page, if you go down about probably three posts that I put on my Facebook page
Hmm.
because I did it yesterday. there was um, it shows a picture of the title and all that kind of stuff, but it points out that it's a link to YouTube, and so somebody can click on that link, and it takes them right to YouTube, and they can purchase it, and have it available to them, and watch the full movie and everything. So it's just something that makes it very simple on that. But the link is, I put the link right on Facebook if anybody wants to watch it. So
Oh, I love it. All right. Well,
cool.
this is good news. This is a great watch for the holiday and a great read. Don't forget, you have a book out too. Anyone
Yep.
interested in holiday gifts? I know you don't like self-promotion, but there you go. There's your self-promotion.
Well,
Bringing,
I appreciate you mentioning it.
yes, how could I not? I see it. Bring,
There you go.
achieve
There you
potential.
go. There you go, my friend. But you know what? This aspect is very key because when you're talking, and that's very aligned with what I'm going to mention today. And like I said, I'll bring in one aspect of how I interacted with a pilot person that I was working with this week and everything. Because it's a good picture of it, and what I'll do is my story is very aligned with what I'm going to be talking about today, and this quote. But I'll start it out by simply sharing this quote, and this quote actually comes from Steve Keating, and here's the exact quote. The exact quote is, "Authentic leaders don't force compliance;
Mm-hmm.
they earn commitment." And what a lot of people don't realize now, if you have people that are just being stupid and illegal and all that, yeah, you need to kind of draw the line a little bit. But the bottom line is authentic leaders don't force compliance, they earn commitment. And one of the things, and that's very key, because if you think about it, it's one of the aspects about, as a leader, it's making your people so that they want to connect with you,
Yeah.
be aligned with you, work with you, be synergistic with you and the rest of the team. And that is what leaders have to do. That's what true leaders will always do. If you
Yeah.
have somebody, which you see a lot of times,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately in our society, if you see a lot of people that just force commitment and threaten and point fingers and all that, they're not being true leaders and all that. And so what I'll do is I'll just mention one thing, and it's an aviation related example of this, but but what I'll do is just mention this is a case that I had this week. Um, and I was actually working with a pilot, but it wasn't like officially training. He had not been in our jet airplane before and stuff, but it wasn't training. What it was he was going for an interview with a operator out there, and he was just trying to get a little bit comfortable so that during the interview process, they have them fly the airplane around just to get a sense of whether their skills are okay and things of that nature and everything. And this was just a way for him to kind of get ready for that a little
Yeah.
bit, get prepared for that a little bit. And the person who was sitting in the right seat as a co-pilot for him, there was a couple of times when they were sort of not telling him what to do in terms of flying the airplane, but pointing to things on the instrument panel and telling him to do this and all this kind of stuff. And I told him, I said, stop doing that, because that's not what this is about. He is not trained. He has not been through ground school training or anything like that on this. And but what's interesting is when he did his first takeoff and was getting kind of vectored around to be able to come back around and fly an approach to land, I could tell a couple of things, which I will share with you in just a minute or whatever. But I didn't really jump in and threaten or anything. I just let him keep going, and we did a couple more of those, and he did them much better and things of that nature. And just because of his basic flying skills from his journey, and the different places where he's been working for and all that kind of stuff. And but suffice it to say, um, that when we got into the debrief area, which is not like an official one, but it is just sort of closing up a little bit and making sure they don't have questions and stuff like that. Most people in society will sit there and take their pen and write down, and they'll just dictate to them what they did wrong. And you shouldn't have done this. You got to be better at this and all this kind of stuff. That's not being a leader. If you think about that quote,
Yeah.
that's trying to force compliance. That's getting, and if that's your approach, what you're actually doing, even though you may not realize it, what you're actually doing is trying to get them to completely shut their brain off and not think about it, not being able to evaluate, not being able to process or nothing, and just shut their brain off and do what you said. If you're doing that, you are throwing their future, throwing their success, throwing their processing ability and their situational awareness into the trash can. And you don't want to do that. What I did is, so we got into the debrief room and
Hmm.
sat down, and he and I were the only ones there. As a leader, I looked at him and I said, "So let me ask you something. What stood out to you today?" I let him sort of think about it for a second,
Yeah.
but he only had to think about it for 1.2 seconds, because if you look at me, one of the things that he did is he did this, and he goes, "Well, I just realized that on that first one, I was just sitting here and I realized how my brain and my actions were just going like this. And that's what he did. And you know what I did?
What?
I let him talk for a
Yep.
second.
Got
And then I said, "So let me ask you this. How strong was your clarity on the fact that that was truly happening?" And I got him to kind of think about it and talk a little bit. I said, "Well, listen, what do you need to do about it when that's occurring
Hmm.
as a pilot? What do you need to do about it?" And he got some thinking and came out with a couple of things. And I said, "Yep." And I'll tell you the one thing you want to really get into your mind in terms of, and this is bringing coaching and also a neuroscience expertise into it. I said, the one thing that you want to do on this is to get within your brain and develop within your brain. First of all, how are you
Hmm.
going to maintain your awareness of when that's starting to happen? And that could be in your brain even before it goes to your arms and everything else, or whatever, kind of thing. I said, uh, you know, how are you going to increase your awareness of when that is starting to come on scene? And he looked at me and he said, that's a good point. And I said, and the follow-on point is this. He said, "What's that?" I said, "When you become aware of that, and when you are sort of experiencing that just a little bit,
Yeah.
how are you going to know what you need to do?
Mm.
What is your thinking and your processing and your decision making going to happen?" Because it's not just rote academic. It's not just shut your brain off and push this button and go do that, kind of thing. But it's having clarity on that. And really, if you think about the organizational maneuverability concept, where things are not always simple and not always, academic. You got to be aware of that when you're a leader of your
Yeah.
team or a pilot. You have to be aware of that when certain things are coming on scene that you didn't expect.
Yeah.
If your brain is starting to do things that you didn't expect, you got to be aware of it. And oh, by the way, as a leader for you, what do you have to do? How are you going to be able to make it so that your brain continues going, not just fitting, you know, rote academic things, but clarity on what's required, what's needed, and what's going to get you to safety and to success. And that's what a lot of people don't truly understand, because a lot of people in our society just want to point fingers and tell you, do this, do this, do this, do this. That's not being a leader. It's having some of those conversations sometimes,
Yeah.
so that when a situation develops, and really in a training environment is where a lot of those kind of situations, you can make them happen just to generate in the development of how their brain is really being engaged. If you're teaching people to just shut their brain off and go
Oh
do
gosh, yeah.
an academic thing, you know what? There might be 1 out of 10 cases where you need to do that, but there may be 10 out of 9, 10 case, 9 out of 10 cases where that's distracting from what you're really trying to accomplish. And so when you think about this aspect of it, that was a good point with him. And he was very appreciative and really commending me on how I did that because it's something that was very different from what he's been used to throughout most of his career. And what I did again, what I did is I brought a degree of coaching there where you're not just kind of dictating and telling them you do this, shut up and do this, and just don't even think about it, just do this. You know, you're not bringing that, but you're bringing the question and the perspective there,
Yeah.
but you're also bringing the neuroscience, the ability of the brain to truly process the reality and have clarity on what do you need to do to minimize the risk, to minimize the distractions, but also generate a successful outcome. And these are things that a lot of people don't understand because so many people in today's world have a tendency to just do academic answers. And you know what? There are times in the real world where that's not always applicable. Now, it doesn't mean to say that it's necessarily wrong,
Yeah.
but how you get there could be wrong. If you're throwing it in the trash because you're just supposed to do that, and you're throwing your perceptions and your processing ability and your clarity of strategic awareness and all that, if you're throwing that in the trash, that's not what you want. And
Mhm.
as if you're leading that in your as a leader of your team, if you're leading that, you're not being a leader. You're just forcing compliance in a degree where they just have to do what you said, and just shut up and listen to what you said and stuff. And that is not what you want when you're talking about truly leading people. And I'll tell you what, when they have a sense that you're not
Mhm.
just controlling them and dictating and pointing fingers and accusing them and all this sort of stuff,
Yeah.
but you're really connecting with them in a positive teamwork way, they want to be with you. And you know what? They want to work with you and they want to be part of your team. And that's the other part of, like I say, the Stephen Keating quote where it talks about they earn commitment
Yeah.
because not because it's mandatory or required by law or anything, but just they want to be a part of this. And their processing starts to happen so that they can be thinking, even when you're not there, in such a way that the radical positive results happen, even when somebody wasn't sure about it. And so it's just one kind of picture of that is like I said, that came from last week. And the guy at the end of it, when he was getting ready to go to dinner, and he was going to have his interview next week or next on the next day, um, he really stood up and he shook my hand and he really commended me for how I did what I did because it was a lot different than what most people do. And he really gained an insight. And I said, by the end of today, he said, if you just give some thought to it, you can have a clarity in your mind as to how is your situation awareness going to be to when that starts to happen, and how you're going to decide what you need to do so that it doesn't distract, it doesn't, pull a whole bunch of stuff aside, it doesn't get in the way, and you can stay focused on what the clarity really is. Give some thought, and that's also key because when you have different people that you're working with, now let's face it, every team that you have, it has different people on it,
Yeah.
kind of thing. And guess what? Different people sometimes have different processing abilities,
Oh, definitely do, I think, yeah.
different vision, different aspects of it. And if you're trying to shut all that off and just say, "Hey, do this, do this, do this," you're not being a true leader. And so it was just a real good picture. Like I said, that was uh, uh, you know the way he commended me and really shook my hand and appreciated me after we were done in the way that I did that this week. And that he's not been the only client that has ever done that. There's been a lot of clients that have
Yeah.
expressed appreciation when it was done because of the difference in what I bring. But what I bring is not just dictatorial control freak stuff. It's true leadership. And like he said, it's not forcing compliance. It's not having you shut your brain off and just do this, but it's really, you know, generating that commitment where they want to be a part of your team. They want to be a part of you. And they vision that with our conversations, we can probably get a lot better and we can really achieve what we want to achieve in our role, in our vision, in our uh, goals, and all of that. And so that's just something to think about that a lot of people sometimes don't have vision of. But that's a key sort of difference in the difference between the dysfunctional aspect of it and how you really become a true leader with your people. And so I just throw that out as a consideration on this that sometimes people, like I said, sometimes people don't think about.
Mm. Well, thank you. You always have new perspective on things. And, anything with this holiday season that can relate to, what you would say to people leading out there. Isn't this a good time to kind of regroup, refresh, rethink, retrack, get it together, right?
Yeah,
You
and,
might be,
and
I might be out ahead. It's the end of the year. It might be difficult, but
and you know what? But on the side of that, just doing the processing of it can be huge. When you're thinking about, oh, Christmas is here. Yeah, I got to be focused on my family. But let me ask you, in what ways do you have to make this awareness together with your family,
yeah,
with your children, and all of that? But even beyond that, okay, when Christmas is over and New Year's just went by, and you're coming back to your professional role, do you have vision on what you need to be thinking about differently going forward? Do you have you changed your ability to truly adapt what you're doing to be successful in your team in going forward? As a leader, have you instilled in them the real vision ability so that
yeah,
they not only just have an idea that we want to kind of put in this much each month, but they have an understanding of perhaps in some cases how they need to kind of adapt and sort of adjust a little bit in what they're doing to really bring radical success. Because even with clients and people that you're working with like that, guess what? Think about what makes it so that they want to be coming to you to pay you. Well, guess what? If you think about it, that's what Steve Keating's quote said. If you're if you're not just trying to control them and dictate to them and all this kind of stuff, but if you're really trying to instill that commitment, that oneness, that sense of synergy between us, guess what? They can want to be coming back and they may recommend that other people come to you, for that. And so it's just a key aspect of that is really a concept of true leadership, not the superficial, control freak stuff that a lot of times you see out there. And now there are some times, but where the leader may have to kind of put a stop to something right now. But you know what? If you have built this other aspect of it and they have truly developed a trust in you, and not just because you made them laugh yesterday, but because of their experience with you over the last, I don't know, 6 months, 8 months, year, whatever. If their experience says they want to be committed to you, if you have to make the call to stop something, guess what? They'll be with you. And that's a key aspect of this whole thing. And that's in part a little bit about what that client kind of experience just a little bit and how I did what I did with that. So just it's just a it's just an aspect that people need to think about. Um, and guess what? If you're talking about leading your children, there's some truth to that as well, depending on what you're seeing with them and all that. Now, there are times when you got to tell them don't do that because they don't know that. But the bottom line is when you're talking about being a true leader, this is a key difference that you need to be aware of. And you need to be aware of how I need to step away from this whole thing of just forcing
Hmm.
compliance and becoming a real, true leader that is creating real commitment and oneness and making amazing things happen. And it's just something that people need to think about. No two ways about it.
Well, thank you. And this in the aviation field, I don't. There's always stories. Did you hear about the plane crash today that happened with NASCAR great Greg Biffle?
I didn't hear about it, the crash today, not yet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they just confirmed that his wife, and his two young children passed. It was in North Carolina. It happened this morning. He has his own
Oh
private
my
plane.
gosh.
Yeah, I mean,
Did they say about where in North
no,
Carolina?
no, it popped up before, and it was just something I was thinking of because every time I
Oh,
hear
okay.
anything about planes and aviation, I think of you. And then it
Yeah.
came across before that they did confirm that his wife, and I think he's like 50 something, and his kids, I don't know how old they were, but gosh, I mean, horrible, right?
Oh, the whole
Situation.
family went. Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
family died in it. I'm sorry to hear that. I am
Yeah.
very sorry to hear that. Oh
Yeah.
man.
And this day and age, I know it's like we hear about plane crashes, we talk more about them than car crashes, and we know that there's plenty more car crashes than
Yeah.
aviation crashes, but
Yeah.
just something always in the news. And it just, for those that don't know, you are a pilot. Hello. So
Yep.
this is like
I'm a jet pilot, an instructor, and an examiner. No two ways about it. Yep.
yeah, yeah. And around the holidays breaking. And then you think about the other news. You hear about Rob Reiner in the news, right? His family, unfortunately, right? And his son
Yep. Yep.
reportedly killing him and his mother and father. It's just around these times there's such tragedy. It just makes me
Yep.
reflect and think about the good, to be
And
grateful, to be thankful. Go ahead.
yeah. And if you think about it, there's a lot of aspects about our sort of societal stuff that causes the negative things to rise up in people. And you can see a lot of examples where everybody's trying to control everybody else in some respects, and some of them in violent respects. And you know what? That is not leadership. And that's not where our society should be going, that's for sure. And it's not like that with everybody, but when you see examples of that and evidences of that, you got to really be thinking about how we need to, things need to be a little bit different. So
Yes.
yeah, I thank you for sharing that because I didn't know that, and I really am sorry to hear that he and his wife and his kids all died. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry to hear that for sure.
Ah, sorry, I had to bring up some sad news, but it was just something I always, again, you are the only pilot that I know I'm friends with,
Well,
and
thank you.
and you've always, something we don't know anything about yet, but you've always commentated on, aviation accidents in DC and things that happen all the time, and it's part of, your field and what you're, obviously, and you
Hmm.
all take safety very, very importantly, and there are accidents that do happen. There's tragedies that do happen, and I just wanted to bring that up because just be grateful, be thankful, be mindful of those around you, those you love, and let's live our best. New Year. We're almost here for the new year. Randy, wait, are we? Next week is Christmas, right? So we're not
It
on.
it well, I think not on for next Wednesday because that's Christmas Eve.
Oh, I think I'm working next week. Oh, yeah. Okay, but today's Thursday. Are we on Thursdays?
Yeah, no, no, because Thursday is Christmas next week.
Oh, I thought I was working Christmas Eve. Oh, you're not
Oh,
on? Okay.
no. If you're on for Christmas Eve, then we can be on at a regular
Yeah.
time. That's
Yeah,
okay with
I'm
me.
supposed to
So,
be, I think. Yeah. So, okay,
okay.
that's fine. All right,
So yeah,
perfect.
we'll be glad because I always appreciate you as a friend, and I always appreciate being on the show with you. No two ways about it. So it's
Thank you.
good, good stuff. So yeah, if it turns out that we're on at our normal time on Wednesday, I'll be there for you.
All
And
right.
but yeah, definitely. wishing you and Ashley and so many other people, all the other people at Podcast Business News Network and all that, of just a Merry Christmas. And
Thank
so
you.
just amazing. So
All right. Thank you. Same to you, sweetheart. And what time? How do we contact you? You can call
okay.
anytime, not in the middle of the night.
Anytime. That's right. That's right. If you go to my website, you can have on the home page. If you go right down to
Yep.
the bottom of it, it has my cell phone number on it, and it has my email address on it, so anybody can do that and reach out to me. Um, uh, I don't do real big sales calls to you. If you've got a need that you need, yeah, we'll come up with something on that, and I'll bring some of the stuff that I have and bring to it and everything. But if you just want to have a conversation, that's fine, and don't uh, uh, we'll enjoy that. But there's yeah, good stuff on that. So you can go to that. And by the way, just to let you know too, that one of the things we're going to be working on, it's not there yet, but with my colleagues over in Germany, we're going to be posting the YouTube link for my
The
movie
movie.
documentary
Yeah.
on the website. So if somebody wants to, they can go to the website and click on that and purchase the movie and watch it. And
Beautiful.
so it just like I say, it's not there yet, but we're probably going to be working on that. So, but
Awesome.
but definitely, but yeah, you can go to the bottom of the page and it has my cell phone and my email. So feel free to reach out if you'd like.
Sounds good, Randy. Thank you. God bless and happy holidays, everyone. Hope I'll see you next week. If not, then next week, still before the new year. All right. Bye,
There you
everyone.
go.
Bye.
Well, we'll see you next Wednesday. Take care.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.